The Panasonic GH6 is due out this year. How will the GH6 differ from the GH5? Will it include time-of-flight autofocus? Will it have 8K video? I've rounded up the latest leaked specifications and provide my insight into what's likely and what's just noise. This and more after the intro. Hi, I'm Simon. Thanks for tuning into The Ordinary Filmmaker. Subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, gear reviews, or tutorials. And to make things just a little bit more exciting, I'm giving away a brand new Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera to one lucky viewer. Details are in the description down below, or you can watch this video here, but please look at the terms and conditions as there are some age and location restrictions. And now for a closer look at the GH6. We've been waiting for the GH6, the Panasonic GH6 announcement, for over a year. The GH6 was scheduled to be announced at Photokina 2020 and released later that summer. The world changed in a big way. The GH6 first got delayed until the fall. Then Panasonic announced a strategic refocusing where they would prioritize on video. We now have leaked specs that indicate a fall 2021 announcement is coming. So how will the GH6 differ from the GH5, and how will that strategic refocus materialize in GH6 specifications? The GH6 will have a 45 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. Let's just focus on that for a minute. That's a staggering amount of information for a small sensor and a first. Now, recent news points to a Sony sensor capable of 8K video, but in a micro four thirds sensor. Seems unbelievable, doesn't it? Well, Sharp's been working on an 8K micro four thirds camera, and they first reported it back at CES in 2020. Then Sharp gave an update last week stating that they're still working on the 8K micro four thirds camera. We also got a leak from Sony that they're working on an 8K video capable micro four thirds sensor. So since the rumor first came out, well, we also have the Canon R5 and the Sony Alpha 1 capable of 8K. So 8K is a strong possibility. And the GHC has made innovation after innovation over the years, so it's not completely inconceivable. The GH6 will be segmented into three models just like the 5 series. The GH6 will be a general-purpose value camera, the GH6V will be a video-centric camera, and the GH6X will be a photocentric camera. Now, if this is true, we should have received photo specs for the GH6X and how they'll differ from the value-based model. Yet we haven't heard anything since June, and that's over 6 months ago. Is this just someone's vision? Well, it does fit into the segmentation that Panasonic did with the S series, in the S1 being the general-purpose full-frame camera, the S1H being a video-centric camera, and the S1R being a photocentric camera. So is it really far-fetched? Well, Panasonic already has two GH models, the GH5 and the GH5S, the GH5S being the video-centric model. The GH6 is rumored to have time-of-flight autofocus. It uses a laser to accurately determine the distance to the subject and is highly accurate. Now, this technology is used in smartphones and has been for years, but it's only accurate to about 15 feet. It hasn't been successfully used over long distances, holding the technology back from prime time. Has Panasonic improved the accuracy of distances over 15 feet? It's certainly possible. Panasonic, years ago, was rumored to be working on time of flight. Accurate and trustworthy autofocus has been the Achilles heel of Panasonic cameras. The GH5 is feature-packed with professional features like waveforms and vector scopes, and a plethora of other video features, making it the best value in its class, even when compared with cameras costing several $1,000s more. The only thing that stopped the GH5 from being the best-selling camera is its autofocus. And I know what you're thinking. The autofocus has improved a lot since the GH5, and it has. And that professionals don't use automatic focus, they don't use auto features. But if we're being really honest with ourselves, it is a problem. We do want a highly accurate and reliable autofocus system. Panasonic's recent S5 autofocus system was labeled as unreliable by Gerald Undone with his hands-on review, and professionals do use automatic features like autofocus. The big difference between a professional and amateur is that a professional knows when to use the automatic features and when to use manual settings. The Contrast Detect autofocus system is the only glaring issue with the GH series cameras. Fixing this will turn the GH6 into a top seller. The GH6 will be able to reach 240 frames per second in 1080, 120 frames per second in 4K, and up to 30 frames per second in 8K. It will have 6K oversampled 4K. But doesn't that seem strange? If you've got an 8K sensor, why not deliver 8K downsampled 4K? It's not like the file sizes will be any bigger. I'm really not too sure what to think about this one, but definitely some sort of oversampled 4K would be in the books. These specs are normally found in cameras costing more than $3,800. The Canon R5 and the Sony Alpha 1 can reach 120 frames per second in 4K and 30 frames per second in 8K, but neither offers 240 frames per second in 1080. Now these numbers do seem unbelievable. They seem as unbelievable as Canon R5's rumored specifications when they were first leaked in January 2020. But what do you think? Are these actually leaked specifications or somebody's vision? Are we being punked or trolled here? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now there's no mention if we're getting oversampled 1080, and this is one of the most used video resolutions out there. Yet very few camera companies offer oversampled Full HD or 1080 without you having to purchase a cinema camera. The GH5 could produce 20 frames per second with continuous autofocus on a 20 megapixel sensor. So rumors indicate that we're going to get 30 frames per second on the GH6, and getting 30 frames per second electronic isn't very difficult. Many cameras are able to achieve this feat with Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, and even full frame, but achieving 30 frames per second on a 45 megapixel sensor does take some work. The $6,500 Sony Alpha 1 can do it, the Panasonic S1R can deliver 30 frames per second with JPEGs, and even 60 frames per second with 8 megapixel JPEGs. And that's on a 45 megapixel sensor. Okay, I hear you. The S1R is a $3,700 camera, and the Alpha 1 a $6,500 camera. Is this really believable? Seems far-fetched. Again, as did the R5 when we heard the specs on that camera, and I got beat up a lot over that. Reality showed us limitations, and that's something to keep in mind here. These are leaked specifications, they're rumor specifications. But so much is missing from the final picture. What are the end capabilities? What are the restrictions? Now the GH6 comes with improved Vlog as a paid option. It will have improved performance in the shadows, eliminating much of the noise that we found with the GH5 when using Vlog. It will have an OLED EVF with 120 Hz refresh rate, but some rumors saying we could see 240 Hz. The GH6 will come with a 3.2-inch, fully articulating flip screen with a 2.1 million dot resolution. Like the GH5, the GH6 will come with dual UHS 2 card slots, but like Sony, they will also be dual-purpose UHS 2 and CF Express type A card slots, not B, to be able to handle 8K video. Now the rumors don't offer any insight into the price, but it's not difficult to estimate based on the price. Let me try that again. It's not that difficult to estimate the base model price based on what we know the GH5 retailed for in 2017, which is $1,999. Add 2% inflation for each year, and that price comes somewhere just under $2,199. The only question, will Panasonic increase the price to cover costs incurred by this global economic situation, as I'm going to call it? Now, if Panasonic releases a single GH6, it's most likely to start at $2,199 with features like Vlog and 8K video coming as paid options. And this makes an awful lot of sense. Why should you have to pay for features that you don't need? Like if you don't need 8K, why should you have to pay for that? So when are we supposed to get this camera? Well, the release date is anything but certain. We were supposed to get the GH6 announced last year at Photokina, but then Photokina was cancelled and camera announcements that were planned for that show were delayed. Current rumors indicate a September-October timeframe. Subscribe and get notified as soon as I publish an update, and be sure to choose that notification bell so that way you're notified as soon as I provide an update. But now, let's go behind the scenes. Panasonic's got to be one of my favorite camera manufacturers. My heart really goes out to them. They're constantly producing cameras with incredibly powerful features. Look at the GH5 with waveforms and vector scopes. As I've said in many videos, I think that if you want to achieve the best exposure on your subject, then waveforms and vector scopes is the best way to go. And I don't know any other camera manufacturer that provides us with capabilities like this in a body, in a camera this affordable. Most of the times you have to hook up an external monitor or an external recorder to get these capabilities. And the number of features you get with these cameras just increases and increases, and histograms that don't go away when you press the record button. I just think that Panasonic is innovating. Their cameras are very, very powerful, and I seriously looked at getting the GH5, and then when I heard rumors of a full frame version of the GH5, which we all know to be the S1 series, I seriously thought about getting those cameras too, and they are powerful. They give me almost everything I need in a camera, but the one thing that's held me back is the autofocus system. Sure, when I'm shooting videos like this, I don't need autofocus, and manual focus is better. You've seen me when I've been filming outside in a snowstorm, that manual focus is better there too. Autofocus isn't the panacea. It isn't the best feature. It works in all situations. And as professionals, that's what we learn to do. We learn when to move away from automatic settings into manual settings so that we can ensure the results that we get are what we want, what we see in our mind's eye. But as professionals, we know when to choose automatic features and we know when to choose manual settings. And I really do hope that Panasonic comes out with either a time-of-flight autofocus system that works to distances longer than 15 feet or some other system, a phase detect system. Because here's the thing, while manual autofocus works and you can use the GH5 in manual mode and it produces really incredible results, you can set an f-stop that goes out to like f20 or f18 or f16 and basically puts everything in focus and eliminates your problem there too. But just look at all the videos, all the reviews, and they're constantly, the one headline that keeps getting all the attention with the GH5 is the autofocus system. By just fixing that alone, it changes the discussion. And also, let's look at worldwide sales for Panasonic cameras, for the stills hybrid cameras. Look at them. They're somewhere below 5%, and in some models, they're lumped in with other. And I'm not sure what is doing this. Canon. Panasonic produces really, really amazing cameras. I do believe that. I say that time and time again. And the only thing that stopped me from getting them is the autofocus system. And I know that there's other people too that are photographers that are thinking of getting into video, but not right now. And when they look at the autofocus, they thought, well, geez, if I'm looking at getting into video, which I know very little about, you know, I really want to have a trustworthy autofocus system so I can start off in autofocus. So I really do believe that needs to be fixed here. I really do hope they've got it fixed. They've entered a strategic last year, they entered a strategic reevaluation of their business, looking at putting an emphasis on video. And I really do hope that is fixed, because I think if they can do that, well, the GH6 is going to be absolutely unbelievable. It's going to be a powerhouse of a camera. So fingers crossed on that one there. Now, one last thing I want to talk about in behind the scenes is how I gather the information for these videos. I don't get many sources coming to me directly and providing me with leaked information, although I do get it periodically and I do get validation. For this one here, I looked over the web. I spent a couple of days as I was looking for the Sony stuff too. I was trying to find out all the different rumored stuff, and I ignored a lot of the really far-fetched stuff. And yes, there was some far-fetched stuff. Some of you might think 8K is far-fetched, but 8K a year ago seemed far-fetched. Today, 8K is becoming more of a top-shelf feature. And what I do is I look at all the different sites, from Micro Four Thirds rumors to Panasonic rumors to all the sites out there, and I kind of boil them together. I try to get validation. I also look at other sites. So when we're talking about Sony sensors, well, I see, okay, what is Sony working on? Does it back up the rumors from Sony rumors? And what about Sharp, what we heard? And there are some tidbits of information. Then I do a bit of analysis to say, okay, this is the rumor, and this is where I think it's likely going to go, and this is what makes sense. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some more cameras coming out shortly. I'm really excited by the Panasonic GH6. It's a very, very powerful camera, and at $2,000 for the GH5 when it first came out, the power you get, the size of the lens is lightweight. It's great for vlogging, as you can see from Camera Conspiracies. Casey used to do a bit of vlogging with it, and its IBIS is incredible. And I forgot to mention this, but the IBIS on the GH6 did receive some improvements, but you've still got incredible IBIS. And I think, well, as much as I like the IBIS in the Canon EOS R5, I don't know anything that holds a candle to what the GH5 can do. You can produce incredible, almost gimbal-like stabilization with the GH5, and I think it's a very, very powerful camera. But that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win 2 Angelbird 128GB AV Pro MK2 V90 SD cards. And you'll also get a UHS-2 card reader as well, a dual UHS card reader. Or you could also win the Ulanzi LED light package with accent lights, underwater lights, and various other flat panel lights that you can use to help illuminate your subjects or start your own YouTube channel. I'll be awarding these 2 prize bundles once the channel reaches 30,000 subscribers, and then of course I'll be offering up a different prize bundle or bundles every 10,000K until this channel reaches the significant milestone of 100,000, at which point I'll be awarding a brand new Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera to one lucky viewer. On that bombshell, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. We'll see you again soon.